Hello everyone, welcome to Coffee, Cookies, and Books. Today we're going to try and keep it short as best as I can. I'm going to do just a mini review on a book that I think is really special, and then we're going to do what I would call bookkeeping things, just discuss a couple of changes I'm going to make to my TBR and that sort of thing. And yeah, so that's it. And if you're interested in sticking around, I'll see you on the other side. Hello again. So great to see you here, and I hope you stick around for what I have in store. But before we get into it, I would like to ask if you could like and subscribe. I appreciate the support. Your likes and your comments do help the channel grow, push it up in the algorithm, that sort of thing. So anything that you can do would be much appreciated. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a small review, and then, as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about a few changes on my TBR, both in print and in e-book. And then I am going to talk at the end a little bit about my own book. And because I don't really do that in my other videos, so I thought, well, I'll add that in here. If you don't want to stick around to the end, then you don't have to. I will let you know when that's coming up. Okay, so let's get on to the one review that I want to do, and it's this wonderful little book called Salma. Now, this book, it's middle grade, and my friend H.T. Mirazee, I think is how it's pronounced, Mirazee. She wrote this, and it's a wonderful story. It's about a 12-year-old Afghan girl, and it centers around her and her three friends. Well, one is a cousin, two of them are brother and sister friends that she's very close to. And they get into situations that are a little bit of trouble, a little bit adventurous. And she's trying to figure out what happened to her parents. Apparently, they died in an accident when she was very young, I think 4, if I remember correctly. And so she's been raised by her grandmother and her aunt, I believe. Now, her aunt's very strict. Wants her to be very proper. Of course, she doesn't want to be. She would love to play buzkashi, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Buzkashi? That's the best way I can pronounce it. It's a sport that's played in Afghanistan, which is where she's growing up, and it is on horseback. It sounds like a little bit of really rough polo. It is a bizarre game where they have like a dead goat, and they have to get it past the goal line. So it's pretty rough. I don't think there's a lot of rules in it, but it is on horseback. And I just found the whole description of it really, truly fascinating. So, I don't want to say too much more because it's a great read. Now, this is, as I said, mentioned, it's middle grade. So technically it's from 9 to 18. I'm obviously not necessarily the target audience, but I enjoyed it. And I think the reason that I enjoyed it is because it's in a place in the world that I've never been. And, you often wonder how people live. I mean, I do. I know that as a wedding photographer, which I did for a very long time, I had Afghani clients, Indian clients, Pakistani clients, and I learned about a lot of different cultures, but I only kind of scratched the surface on those. So you only learn the bits and pieces that you get from them, and I think it was really lovely to follow this. Now, the sad side of this is this takes place before the Russian invasion into Afghanistan. So it's clearly before all the war starts. And it's a very unusual look into it. I don't want to say too much more, but, you know, it's a little sad because we obviously know a lot more about what happens after, which is all takes place in my lifetime, because I'm 63. So I do remember the faint details that we are told about what happened. So I really love the book for this. Now, as you can see on the front of it, there are absolutely gorgeous illustrations. They're beautiful. And, you know, I'm guessing this would be Salma because she's center front. This is Layli and her brother Bashir, and this is probably, no, this is Bashir maybe, and Jazdeep, the cousin. So this, the four of them are all there. I think this is Bashir because there's this rooster in the story, which is hilarious, and it's his, so that's probably him. And then on the back is just sort of an illustration of Buzkashi, and the fact that Layli and Salma are there and they're not supposed to be. So, you know, again, one of their little adventures. And then throughout the book, there are these absolutely gorgeous illustrations through the book that are in color, which I love. I think that that's like so beautiful. When I was looking through them, I was like, because as you're reading through, you know, there's the picture where he obviously, you know, comes into a garden. Is this where the rooster? Yeah, the rooster's in there again. So I just really, you know, I enjoyed the entire book. I would absolutely recommend that anybody younger should read this because it's a gentle way to introduce them into a very different life, but still an enjoyable one. There's like a wedding that takes place in there, so you see and hear a little bit about that, which I found, you know, funny because I had no idea that that was in there, and because I have actually photographed Afghani weddings, so it was with lots of tradition. So it was very nice that way, and I enjoyed that. So it was an enjoyable book, and I am going to put the link below. Yeah, I think it is now available on Kindle Unlimited, and of course in paperback. And it's not a long read. I think it's a couple hundred pages. So really, highly recommend. Fantastic little book. So such a lovely story. Okay, so that's the most important thing that I had to talk about today. So now the other thing I wanted to talk about is that I have on my current TBR. So this is what I have set to the end of December. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove a book and it'll just go into my jar. And I'm going to add another book, and I'll explain why I'm doing that. So the one I'm removing is The Ballad of Never After. I have read the first book. This is the second book in the series by Stephanie Garber. So this is the one I'm taking off. It's going to go into my TBR jar. All right. And the one that's going on is Unsteady by Peyton Corinne. Now, the reason that I'm putting this one on is because I've received the ARC, which is Unloved. It is the second book in the series. Each book follows two different couples. I'm not going to get into the description because obviously I will review it. I'll review this one and I will review the ARC once I've read them both. Now, the Unloved, which is the follow-up to this, will be available February 4th. Okay, so you can actually pre-order it right now if you want to, but I do have, like I said, I have the ARC through NetGalley. So I wanted to read this first. And I knew I had it because I had ordered it on the Book Outlet's Black Friday sale, which is $7.99. And I thought, well, okay, let me read this first. So that's why I took out that one. And this one I'm going to read. I'm reading Glow right now and about 70% through it, Glow of the Everflame. And so as soon as I'm finished with that, I am going to read this because I want to get on to the second one as an ARC. Okay, so that's the change that I want to make. All right, let me just get this stuff organized. Okay, then I also have some additions to my Kindle that are ARCs as well, and it is a series. So what I'm attempting to do right now is I'm attempting to read, and I'm going to put them both up, one on either side. So the first book in the series is called Afterworld, second book is Dissension, and then the third book, which is the one that's coming out in December, which I don't have yet, but I will go on to the ARC team once I get the first one finished. I'll get the second one in, and then I'll get the whole entire series completed. So this is a dark apocalyptic fantasy romance, and it deals with, what did I write here? I said, because it says here it's supernatural meets The Walking Dead, but here's my impression, because I am about 50% through Afterworld, okay? And I've written down here, it is supernatural meets The Walking Dead and Resident Evil, with a bit of my impressions of The Stand and Dark Tower, okay? So I have read The Stand and Dark Tower. Now, I've never watched The Walking Dead, but I'm a Resident Evil fan. So read this book. These are the feelings that I get. I get the desolation of The Stand, the idea that the world, people have basically all died. So basically what it says is 18 months ago, the world learned the ugly truth. God exists. He just doesn't give a damn about us. So the difference is that this is supernatural. It's gods against demons. 50% way through. Really, really enjoying it. So we shall see how the rest of it goes. It's written by a team, Olivia Booth and Victoria Liv. So I am popping those onto my ebook, TBR. I have finished another book on my TBR that I just threw in that was a Christmas book. I will review that at the end of December when I do my reviews. So I did really enjoy that. It's really great. Yeah. So now the other thing I did want to just quickly mention is in the last video I did, was it the last one? No, it was the video that I did where I talked about the 15 books that were coming in December and everything. I ranted a little bit about I Might Be in Trouble by Daniel Aleman. I'll put that up here. Because I really wanted to read this book, and when I looked it up on Amazon, it was really super expensive. I'm going to apologize right now because the sun is coming in and out, so we're going to get a lot of light on this side. You're going to see it. It's going to fade in and out. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. So I did rant a bit because I really wanted to read this book. Well, I went to look at the Book of the Month selections for December, and wouldn't you know, I Might Be in Trouble by Daniel Aleman was in there. And I was like, no, you gotta be kidding me. I was like so excited, so excited. So did pick that one up, and along with another one. But I just wanted to mention it because if anybody would be interested in it, it is kind of a mystery comedy. It sounded hilarious, but at the same time, this guy dies, so that's not so funny. But yeah, if you're looking for it and you do have Book of the Month, go in. You can't miss it. Of course, dark pink fuchsia cover, which I thought the cover was great too. Really captures your attention. So anyway, I wanted to mention that one because it's like I felt like a freaking idiot because I had ranted on about it so much. And there it is there. Okay, so now the other thing that I did want to just briefly mention is that I also provide the service of book formatting for authors. Just a little bit of that there, and I am going to provide a link below. Of course, you know, I love formatting books. I'm a bit of a creative person. I retouch. I was a photographer for many years, and so this is sort of just one natural thing that I always have enjoyed. I don't do cover design, but of course I do have a fabulous cover designer that I work with, who I would highly recommend. So I will actually put her information below as well, because next we are going to talk about my book. Okay, so if anybody does not want to hear about this, then I'm just going to say it's been great chatting with you, and hopefully you do wish to stay and find out a little bit of information about my own series. Okay, so my book is called The Guardians. And it is, I'm actually going to close this so we don't get that extra light. And it is, it's called the Boudoir series, but it's part of a larger story line that will develop in different sections called the Terra Alliance. And it is about humans and another species called the Koreans who have formed an alliance and now live together. I don't want to get into too much detail, but an event happens after humans experience a 4-year war with an alien species. The Koreans come to help. The alien species tries to destroy the world, and a lot of things transpire after that. So this actually takes place in the year 2064. Well, it starts in 2032. Hang on one second. Let me go. No, 2036. Sorry. And Jessie, who is our main female character, is 6 years old in the very first chapter. So this is about her being taken from the world. And 2036 is when the war is ending, and this event occurs, and she loses her entire family. So it's very hard. She's only 6, but she becomes friends with another little girl who's with her at the time, 1 year younger than her. And together they form a new family with other people. But always in her mind is this lost family. And then it goes from that to 28 years later, and it's Jessie again, and it's year 2064. So a lot has happened in that 28 years in between when the event occurred and 28 years later. The Koreans, who had initially come to just help the humans with this species they were at war with, ended up staying because their world had been destroyed by the same species. So clearly they want to help, and they have many advantages. They have medical advancements and intelligence advancements. Their energy production is completely different and clean, and because we've lost all electricity because of the war, we get that advantage. And they are a spacefaring species, because this is how they survived after they had their planet destroyed. So they, interestingly, have more or less developed in the same way as humans. They look like humans. There's just a few varying differences, not a ton, but it's interesting that they have evolved in a similar fashion. And these things are details that will come out as the books progress. There's a lot of things. The initial book, they don't go far, but there is part of it is in space and part of it isn't. Part of it is describing sort of the new situation that they're in. And then, of course, it is also a romance. So it is a romance between Jesse and the prime head of the warship that she has to get on to defeat this species that is back. And it's the one that they had the initial war with. So, you know, overall, I think it's an enjoyable book. It's fairly fast-paced. The first book is only 300 pages, 298 pages, I think, something like that. And now in the print version, there is actually a glossary. So it just kind of goes over some of the terms that are used in the story, and the glossary will grow as the story grows, and the print books will always have a glossary in the back. Yeah, so the second book is currently in for sort of its major edit right now, and it is going to be a good bit longer, probably I would say closer to 500 pages, maybe 400 to 500 pages. It's about 50,000 words more than this book is. So I would say something like that. And it's going to delve more into space and how they deal with the species. The species always going to be, the species they are Earth is always going to kind of be at the forefront. But what each book does is, each book has a cliffhanger at the end. So I will warn about the cliffhanger, and I will also go over sort of the content warnings because there are a tiny few, and then each book ends in a cliffhanger, and in each book Jessie will find another member of her lost family. So that's why it's called the Boudreaux series, because they were the Boudreaux. There's her, she has a twin brother, and then there were 4 other brothers. So 6 of them, and she's basically, her and her brother Danny were the youngest. So it's going to go through them finding their family throughout. So it's a 6-book series. Each book deals with, moves sort of on to the next one in the family and their love story, as well as built into the entire story as it develops through. Each book does end in a cliffhanger. There are going to be some high stakes as we get into book 3. So a lot of things are going to happen and develop as the series develops. So I really hope that you would want to read it and would find it interesting. There is definitely spice in it. So let me read the trigger warnings, okay? And let me put my glasses on because, you know, I need that because I'm old. All right. So the topic of slavery and abduction, including with children, comes up and is ongoing throughout. Although it's not violent in nature. However, it could be upsetting someone. It could upset anyone sensitive to the topic. I can't read. There are suggestions of abuse, however, nothing overt. There is light violence and weapons use. Military situations are part of the main storyline, and there is some death, albeit only with background characters. There is sex, and yes, clear and explicit sex. The scenes are obvious, but the book is not all sex. Sorry. So it does have some spice. I've tried to keep the story a fun read, even with sometimes serious topics. Each book will center around a different couple, but the sci-fi plot will continue through each couple's journey. I'll apologize ahead for the cliffhangers. Well, not really. It's necessary as each ending leads into the next story and couple. At least you get an HEA for Jessie and Xerxes, but who knows how things will go. I hope you enjoy the Terra Alliance Boudreaux series, book 1. So there you have it. This is my book. I'm very proud of it, but I understand, you know, sci-fi, space opera, romance might not be for everybody, but I would really love it if you try. So I have put the links in below for that one. So I guess that's it. Let me just make sure, because I wrote everything down. I just want to make sure that we covered everything we were supposed to cover. Yep, that's it. So I do think this is going to be a really, really short video. Fingers crossed. And again, you know, really would love it if you could like and subscribe and comment. I would love to hear what you think about Salma. If you think you're going to, you know, recommend it to somebody, because I would really love it if you could recommend that book to somebody. And of course, if you could also read my book, that would be lovely. I will not be mentioning my book again until the second book comes out, which will be in the winter of 2025 coming up. So until then, lips are sealed. Okay, so it was really great talking to you again, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful holiday season so far, and I will see you in a week.